The Model Shop live scale modeling show is brought to you by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. Well, hello again, everybody, and good evening, and welcome to episode 99 of the Model Shop. I'm your host, Boyd Crompton. We're really glad to have you guys with us tonight. Got a nice little show in store for you. We're going to be doing a lot of work on the bench tonight. We finished off our 132 scale Sherman tank last week, so we're starting on a couple of new projects tonight. We've also got a new out-of-the-box kit review for you guys that we're going to share with you on our bench tonight. We did a little news blurb last week about this new kit from Revell being released of the 1/25th scale Fast and Furious 1970 Dodge Charger kit that we saw in the Fast and Furious movie series. So I picked up this kit this week at my local Hobby Lobby, and we're going to do a nice out-of-the-box kit review on that tonight, and then we're going to start building it. And we've also got our really cool 1/12 scale Aoshima Kawasaki motorcycle kit that we're going to start on tonight. So we're going to kick off two brand new projects and get some work done on the bench on these tonight. I hope you guys had a nice week, and I hope you got in some modeling. It's been some beautiful weather here in the shop. We've been able to work out in the shop a lot all week, having some nice fall weather here in central Texas, so I'm really thankful for that. We had a long, hot summer. It looks like it's finally starting to end here for us a little bit, so I hope we get a nice fall before it turns into winter here, and I hope you guys are enjoying some nice weather where you're at too. We're going to kick things off tonight real quick on the bench. Before we get going, I want to just address a couple of questions that came in from some viewers or potential viewers we had out there that want to join in on our chat session for the show. A lot of you guys have written in and asked about how they can join the live chat session. And I just wanted to tell you real quick that what you need to do is when we're broadcasting the show live, we broadcast every week here at 6 o'clock p.m. USA Central Time, and it's on my TrekWorks YouTube channel main page. So you go to the main page and you'll see the video in progress there, the live stream, and you just click on the live stream, and once you're in there, you'll see a button at the bottom to join the chat session. And once you join that, you have to have a YouTube account, I believe. So as long as you have a YouTube account, you'll be able to get in there and log on and join the chat. You'll see the chat window pop up. And I just wanted to say, if you haven't had the opportunity to do that so far, it's a lot of fun. We have a large group of fellow modelers that follow along with our show every week, and they have a really fun and interesting chat session going on, talking about modeling and talking about the projects that they're working on and sharing building tips and all that. modeling news, all kinds of cool stuff. So we'd love to have you jump on board. So it's real easy to do. Like I said, just jump on the unfortunately you can't see the chat once the show is over with if you watch it on a replay, so you have to be in there when the show's being broadcast live. So hopefully that'll help you out. Before we kick things off and take our first break here and then move over to the bench, I just wanted to share a little bit of progress we got. I'm going to run this little kind of quick little slideshow just to kind of highlight. I hope I get all these names right because I didn't label them on here, but we've got some really cool works in progress going on over on our Model Shop Google community. This first one is Clint Llewellyn. He's working on the Dragon Slayer model kit. I think that kit's made by Pegasus, and you can see he's got a nice start on it here. He's starting to put it together. He's got some primer going on and stuff. Really cool kit. And then another one of our members there, Derek Sabora, has started on the Grandpa Munster kit. You can see the beautiful job he's doing on the the electrical kind of electrical panel that comes with that kit. He's going to be doing some lighting on it. And then let's see, this is Dan Harris. Dan Harris is working on the Polar Lights C-57D Space Cruiser kit. You can see here he's laid down a really nice paint job on that. Looking good there, Dan. And then let's see, Frankie Goes to Hobbywood. I like that handle, Frankie. He's working on the AMT K7 Space Station, the classic Star Trek kit. Looks like he's off to a really good start there. And then we've got Bob Busking. Bob's a really prolific airplane builder. He builds a lot of airplane kits. You can see he's building this Ju-87 Stuka. Loving the camo work you got going on that, Bob, and the weathering looks really nice. And then we've got Mike Kovac, who's entered into our Halloween group build over at our Model Shop community, working on Morticia from the Addams family. Looking really good there, Mike. I think Mike actually finished that up, but I didn't want to spoil his thunder. We'll save that for the Halloween show. And here we've got Scott Hashard, a.k.a. Aussie Trekkie. He's working on the 172 scale Avro Lancaster, the famous World War II British bomber. That's looking real good, Scott. And then James Frost has just finished up this Ducati motorcycle kit. Now, this is a 3D kit that he printed out himself on his 3D printer, guys. So that's looking really good, James. Awesome job on that. Just shows you what the power of those 3D printers are. A lot of people are starting to get into that. So, some really cool stuff, guys. And just keep up the good work out there. We appreciate you guys sharing all your work with us here on the channel and helping out others in the community and everything like that. That's what it's all about. I just wanted to share a quick note about a post that was placed on our community by Chuck Brooks, young modeler out there that goes by the handle of Young Model Master on his YouTube channel there. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it or not, but talking about some hangouts that they were doing and having some people coming in there and disrupting the hangouts and things like that. I just want to give a quick couple of takes on that, guys, from my point of view here. You know, I faced a little bit of adversity going through doing what we do here on the channel too, and all I can say about that, guys, is don't let the people who are not enjoying the hobby get influence what you're doing. Just stay focused on what you're doing. Enjoy the hobby, enjoy the modeling experience, and don't let any of the naysayers or the people that are down on it distract you from what you're doing. Just keep soldiering ahead. You know, don't stop what you're doing. I wouldn't stop doing the hangouts or anything else. Just ignore those people, and the people that you do have coming to the hangouts and everything that are enjoying it, just keep on doing what you're doing. It's really taking it away from the good people in there by stopping everything and letting all the negative people win, you know. So don't do that. Just keep on going, ignore them. I've had to do the same thing here, so you just gotta, take it as a grain of salt. It happens anytime you're in a public setting, and a lot of people have opportunity to comment or whatever, and some people just aren't into it, and you just have to soldier on. So I didn't want to make a real big deal about it, but I thought it was important. He seems like a nice young fellow, and he's just getting started out. It's kind of a shame to see a negative experience right off the bat, because we need more younger people to join the hobby. So whenever you can, encourage people like that, guys. It really means a lot. It'll keep the hobby growing and everything, and keep a positive light on it. So, like I said, just don't let the people who don't like the hobby or don't enjoy it ruin it for everybody else. So just rock on, guys, and keep doing what you're doing. There's plenty of people out there who will support it and look at the positive side of it. All right? So with that quick note, guys, we're going to take a break real quick here, and when we come back, we're going to start off first with the out-of-the-box kit review on our Charger here and give you guys a quick look at that. And then we're going to come back after that and get to work right on the bench tonight. A lot of work on the bench tonight, guys. That's what we enjoy the most when we get in some modeling time. So we're going to actually I taped the out-of-the-box review a little bit ahead of time here because I've already started to do some preliminary work. We're going to show you a lot of people have asked about that. We're going to do some body work on the charger kit tonight. We're going to show you how we apply to try to get a really nice smooth paint job on this. We've got it all primed and everything, and I'm going to take you through some of the steps that I do here to get the model ready to be painted. We're going to put down our base coat, and hopefully we'll get time in to put down the clear coat on it tonight too if nothing goes wrong, hopefully. Okay guys, we'll be right back after the break. More of the Model Shop coming right back at you. Stay tuned. Okay guys, well we've got another out-of-the-box kit review for you guys on tonight's show. I'm pre-taping this one because we're going to actually be on the bench working on this kit tonight, so I'm doing this ahead of time just to show you a general out-of-the-box review on this kit. This is the new Revell 1/25th scale Fast and the Furious 1970 Charger RT that Dominic Toretto drove in the Fast and the Furious movies. Now this car appeared in several different versions, as you guys are fans of the film will know. The car in the original movie was wrecked at the end. It was brought back later on after it was supposedly rebuilt, and there's, you know, all the way through the film, it goes through several changes. And I'm not all up on the, you know, all the details about the car and what should be and what shouldn't be, and I'm not sure how accurate this kit is. I think it's a nice, you know, nice replica of the car. Now, one thing I did notice is that in most of the shots, I want to try to build this car the way it appeared in the very first movie. And I noticed in most of the shots, or almost all, or I think all the shots, that you can see here that the 70 Charger has a hideaway headlight set up on the front. But in all the shots we saw the car, the headlights were exposed, you know, the doors were open. So I'm going to actually modify this grille. I'm going to cut these door assemblies off of here with my Dremel tool, and I'm going to use some parts from another kit, an old kit that I have for the headlight buckets, and make some little bulkheads and mount the headlight buckets in here and have it look like the headlights are exposed. So we're going to make that little modification. And also, you can see here on the box art, the wheels that are on this particular car are what they call American Racing daisy spoke wheels, because they kind of resemble a daisy. But the car in the first film had Krager SS wheels on it, just the regular chrome 5-spoke, and I have a set of those laying around here, so I'm going to use those instead. And other than that, I think that's all I'm going to really modify on it. There could be a few more things here and there on the car that are not right, but I'm not too worried about that. You can see here on the side panel they have some pictures of the built-up kit, and it looks pretty good. I think it's a pretty good representation of the car. The interior of the car in the movie was basically like done up like a race car. You know, it didn't have a stock Charger interior. They had removed the door panels. You know, it was done up in kind of sheet aluminum, and I think the dash had been reworked. It did have like some different type of seats in the car, just the two front seats. The back seat had been removed. There was a roll bar in there. So I think all that stuff is here in the kit that we can do. You can see on the picture there, it comes with a roll bar. So we'll probably paint up the interior, kind of look like silver or aluminum, and do the best we can on the interior. But mainly on the outside, we want to make sure we do a really nice black paint job on this. And that's some of the things we're going to go through on this build, showing you how to get a nice, really smooth, high gloss glass black finish on this. And I think that'll be the biggest thing that stands out on this car. You can see we've got the blower here up at the hood with the 426 Hemi engine. We're going to do a little bit of detail on the engine. We're going to add some spark plug wires and a couple things like that to spruce it up a little bit. But other than that, like I said, I'm not really going to do a lot of modifying. You guys can check out, I think there's quite a few video reviews of this on YouTube that you can see where people go into more detail about what's right and what's wrong on the car and all that. But this is a repopped kit. Revell's had this kit out before. There's also an AMT version, and from what I can see, this is considered by most of the modelers out there to be a better kit than the AMT version. Typical Revell, you know, they put a little bit more detail into their stuff. So I decided to go with this one. Now these kits are showing up on the shelves. I just picked this up at my local Hobby Lobby. I used my 40% off coupon and got this kit for, I think I got it for around 13 bucks with my 40% off, so not bad at all. And it'll be a really cool model when we're done. So as I mentioned, we're going to show you the parts here real quick, but I'm pre-taping this because I'm going to take the body and get it primed and sanded and get a few other parts ready to go so we can get started on the build tonight and not have to start off from just zero. So we'll get moving on it pretty quick. So let's pop the lid on this thing and see what we get in this kit. I'm expecting it to be very similar to several of the other Revell Dodge Charger kits that I've built. You can see here on the first thing we have is the body, which comes in this separate bag with the chassis included, or the body kind of laid on top of it. So let's cut this open, and you can see that they've got the tires stuffed in the interior there. We'll take a look at what the tires look like. That's always an important part of a car kit. So, and we'll take a look at the quality of the mold on the body. Let's see if we can get this tub out of here. Okay, as you can see, this is the floor pan basically, and you can see that it's not really accurate as far as from what I could remember from the movie. It's kind of just the stock Charger interior. They've removed the graininess, if you'd call it that, of where you would simulate the carpet, and of course there's no back seat. It's just an open pan area there. You do have the speaker grills here on the rear package tray, which I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not, like I said, but we ought to be able to do a little bit of silver painting on this and make it look pretty good. The body itself, let's take these tires out of there. The body itself is got a couple little swirl marks in it here and there, but overall I'm liking what I see. It doesn't look warped, doesn't look damaged at all. It looks like it's going to clean up pretty nice when we do our painting and everything. The lines, body lines and everything look nice and crisp. I'm liking that I don't see any usual, usually we have a mold line running down on the roof or something somewhere on the C-pillar here on the sail panel that we have to get rid of, but I don't see that present here on this mold. It looks pretty clean. And you can see there are some subtle differences between the 68, 69, and 70 Charger, the marker lights, a couple little things like that. The front valance is a little bit different. The taillights are a little bit different. You can see we've got a nice spot here on the for the fuel filler cap that's already cast in place there, where some of the other kits don't have anything there at all. You just have to kind of figure out where the cap goes. Little slot for the side mirror, which I like. I always like that when they do that, because the mirror has a little bit of support when you put it on there, and it's just on, sitting, not just sitting there all by itself with a little bit of glue on it holding it on. So another nice thing that Revell does on a lot of their kits is they've got the chrome door handles molded separately. They're not molded onto the body, which looks a lot nicer and a lot more realistic. Separate windshield wipers as well, not molded onto the body, which is nice. So all in all, I'm happy with the body. So we put a nice black paint job on that. That'll look great. Looking at the chassis detail, you got your typical Chrysler setup here. You got your subframe, K-frame up front there, gas tank. Got some lettering cast onto the gas tank here, which we're going to sand down. It just says TMFCA USA LLC, some legal stuff. A little bit more here in the shock mount area. We'll get this part sanded down and get rid of that. That's not hard to take care of. Looking at the tires, what we have here is we have regular street tires up front. We have slicks in the back. I'm not going to pull them out of the bag, but there's a little bit of a mold line in the middle of the slick, which you're going to have to sand down. Now I'm going to have to go back and look at the movie again to see if the car actually had slicks on it or if it had street tires that had tread on the rear. You know, you'd never be able to drive a car on the street with slicks. If you got any kind of rain or anything like that, you'd be in real trouble. So we'll just have to check that out. I've got plenty of extra tires laying around here that have tread that are a little bit wider like this that we can, you know, mount on our Krager wheels. So if they're not right, we can always change that. The front tires look to be pretty standard. They don't have any raised lettering or anything. They're just plain black walls, both front and rear. You've got 4 little metal pins in here that you can see. These are probably going to be for the axles and the wheels up front and rear, which is nice. That'll be a little stronger than the plastic ones. We've got the clear red parts here for our taillights, which is nice. Now this particular sprue here is from my other kit. It's from an extra Mustang kit that I had laying around here, and it's had the 4 headlights that we're going to use for this. They were 1/24 scales, so I should be able to use these. I've got the little chrome buckets that they sit in, and I'm going to basically make some bulkheads and drill out my holes and mount those in there and put them behind my grill once I remove the doors here, but we'll talk about that. You can see the grill here. We're going to have to cut out the doors on the edges here and carefully get that all cleaned out and filed out so it looks nice, and then I'll come from behind that and mount my bulkhead with my headlights in there so it looks like the doors are open. Your usual chrome parts here. You've got some windshield wipers, you got the shifter, got the alternator, the side mirror, the rear view mirror for the windshield in the front, some detail for the floor console there, license plate bracket, and of course the front grille, and the door handles over here, and the fuel filler cap. So we've got that. Our clear parts here, no sense of taking these out of the bag yet, but you got your windshield, back glass, no side glass that I can see. You got your tail lights, your wing vent windows here, marker lights for the front for the lower valance, and a couple other little things there, kind of standard. And then this one we'll pull out of the bag and check out the detail on the this is mostly chassis parts, looks like. Okay, so we've got, let's check this one out first. You've got your front K member here with the torsion bars already molded onto it. The rear end differential, which looks like you just got to put the cover on. The axle itself, sometimes these come in 2 pieces, but the axle is already in 1 piece there. So that's that on that sprue. Here we have the firewall, which has some nice detail on it. It's got the ballast resistor on there. It's got the voltage regulator, the mount for the master cylinder, some simulated wiring. Here we have the radiator, the radiator fan shroud, core support. We have our this is our heater blower box assembly that goes on the firewall. It's nice they included that. Got part of the K-frame here with the sway bar, battery, hood latch, windshield wiper, motor, the horn, drag link here, leaf springs. So again, typical Revell, you know, they have a lot of the parts separate instead of molded onto the chassis and everything, which I always like that. You can paint everything really nice and have it detailed out separately. Here we have front disc brakes and calipers, drive shaft, shock absorbers, inner wheels. Here's the differential cover here, some spacers for the wheels. Get you a little closer to that. Let's see, moving on to this next one. Looks like some seats and some interior stuff. Now, again, I think, I'm not positive, I'll have to go back and look, and some of you guys out there that might be big Fast and Furious fans will be able to know right away, but we have basically the stock 1970 Charger bucket seats here. We have our gas brake and clutch pedal and emergency brake bracket there. We've got our steering wheel. Got the steering wheel column, the front valance for the underneath of the bumper there up front on this particular sprue. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the car in the movie was an automatic, so it's kind of strange that they gave you a clutch assembly there. But again, you know, talking about the accuracy, it may or may not be right. Here we can see the stock floor console, and we have the factory stock door panels. And again, I don't know for sure if in the movie, I'm going to have to go back and look if this was supposed to look like this or if it had like just, you know, sheet aluminum in the car. I'm not totally sure. I'm going to have to go back and check that out. It's really not going to matter. I'm not going to worry about it if it, you know, I'm just going to paint these up the way they are. We're going to do the floor pan in aluminum in the back area, the, you know, the package tray and all that, because you can kind of see that. But these I'll just probably paint regular, you know, black and do a little bit of detail on it. Same thing with the console. The dash looks to be a stock Charger dash, which again, I don't remember if the dash in the car was modified or not. The box art pictures show a completely different dash than this. It's like a race car type of a dash. So that's something that doesn't match up with the box art. Here you have the main parts of the engine. You have your block here, the heads, the valve covers. Curiously, the valve covers are not chrome plated. They're just you know, painted here, so we're going to have to do something with that, use some all clad or something. Got the cylinder heads, water pump, oil pump, assembly, fan belt, upper and lower radiator hoses, master cylinder, the coil, distributor. Got the booster for the brakes, a couple of little things here, the starter. So just your basic engine parts there. And then getting down to the last non-plated sprue here, we have the hood, which already has the opening cut out, which is nice. Saves me a little bit of work. I have the headers. We have the rear taillight panel, the suspension brackets, the roll bar with the fire extinguisher, hood hinges, a drive belt for the blower, cross member bracing for the interior, shock absorbers. So these parts would probably be, especially the hood, would be strictly for this kit and not the regular. I'm not even sure if they make a standard 1970 Charger kit or not. But here we have the final sprue, which is the plated parts. I'm going to leave these in the bag, but you can see we've got the blower assembly parts, the casing, the intake. The fan has been plated. We've got the American Racing daisy spoke wheels here, which I'll save those for something else. Got the rear bumper. Front bumper's included on the grill. Let's see, we got this other sprue here, and you can see the two sets of chrome parts. So good amount of chrome on the kit. And then we're going to end up here with the instructions and see what kind of decals they give you with this. Probably the decals are going to be probably pretty minimal. The car didn't have much for markings on it. Here we have some decals for the dash, for your gauges, the license plates, the side marker lights, the Charger word. Looks like this one goes in the center of the steering wheel. We got a not sure what that says, Mopar, I think. And these little red ones, I'm not sure what those are. They could be some, you know, for the markings on the car. But pretty much everything you need to dress it out. And let's check out the instructions. Looks like the car doesn't have an exhaust system. It has open headers. So again, I don't remember if the car in the movie had a full exhaust out the back or not. But here you're starting out. Typically, you've got your color callouts, your parts callouts over here. And you're getting into the building of the engine first. Then you're going on to the interior. The seats, roll bar, all that stuff. Decal going on the dash after you paint it. Steering column. It's got a steering column mounted tachometer. Firewall going on. Dash going in. Door panels going on. Then you're dealing with the... okay, it's pretty cool. They give you a little dome light for the top. I didn't look at that body to see, but Okay, you've got the headliner detail molded into the body, which is nice. Sometimes they don't do that on a lot of these kits. Got your glass going in, steering arm going onto the chassis, then you're building up the chassis, dropping the interior in, engine, getting your detail going on your firewall here, building up the front suspension, putting that together, rear springs, differential, shocks, wheels and tires going on. You can see here that they're using those little pins. Windshield washer bottle, battery, upper and lower hoses, and your front valance, grill, finishing up with the detail on the body. Okay, then you got your decal placement guide here in the back. So I guess that you actually get the decals for the little red detail on the intake scoop there. The flaps are actually done in red. Let's look at that decal sheet again and see if we can spot those. Yeah, you can see them right there. They've got the little red there with the little kind of chrome line going through the middle of them where they, ride on that little flange. So that's cool. Save us some painting. But it's, the outside of the body's pretty basic. Like I said, it's just all black. There aren't any chrome moldings or anything on the car at all. Just the chrome door handles, the side marker lights. The car was pretty much completely blacked out. Got to do the chrome around the trim around the windows, but pretty basic. So there you have it, guys. As I said, I'm going to be taking this over to the spray booth area here, and I'm going to get this all. I'm going to basically explain what I'll do here. I'm going to scuff this all down with some 600 grit sandpaper. I'm going to wipe it down with some denatured alcohol to make sure it doesn't have any mold release or anything on it. Then I'm going to wash it with some Dawn in some warm water. All the body parts, the hood, the lower valance, the rear panel here, anything that we're going to paint black. And then I'm going to get this all primed and sanded down with 600 grit sandpaper, so it's basically ready to take the black paint, and we're going to paint this for you tonight on the show. Get all those parts prepped up, and we're going to get the black done, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to doing the our gloss clear coat. We're going to use a two-part automotive clear, what they call a 2K clear, which is going to be with a catalyst. It's got an activator. It's a really high quality, high gloss automotive clear coat that we're going to put on this, and we're going to put our first coat down on it, and we're going to end up there for tonight because we're going to let that dry, and then next week when we come back, our next episode on this build, we're going to show you how we buff it all out and get it all really nice and shiny and smooth and get rid of any little dust or imperfections that might be in it, because we really want to, the highlight of this build is going to be the paint job. It's going to be it's got to be a really nice, clean and smooth and really high gloss black paint job, and that's what this car was all about. So okay guys, without further ado, I'm going to pack everything up else in the box here. I'm going to go over to my area and get my work done, and we're going to come back here after this break, and we'll be on the bench, kind of a time warp here, and we'll be back on the bench, and you guys will see the body all prepped up and ready to go to start doing our painting on it tonight. So we'll be back right after the break, everyone. Stay tuned for more of the Model Shop. Be right back. Okay, guys, back again with you. I hope you enjoyed the out-of-the-box kit review of the Fast and the Furious Charger. I'm really excited and chomping on the bit to get started on that tonight. We're going to switch over to the other camera here, and we're all set up on the bench and ready to go. So I'm going to slide over here and get my microphone set up so you guys can hear me. Hopefully it's all working good. Just talking about a little bit of the preparation work that I've got ready to go here. We started off by taking the body and doing a nice sanding job on this whole thing with some 600 grit sandpaper. I got all the seam lines and everything cleaned up on this. Basically what I try to do is I try to go around on all the sharp edges of the body here, like on these body lines that you see, and on the sides and up around the edges of the roof and all the openings, like where we have our hood and everything, and just lightly sand that down with some 600 paper, and that takes that hard edge off of there that you see from the molding process and makes the body look a lot more realistic, and that just kind of generally cleans everything up. And then I just go over the entire thing and scuff it all down with 600 paper, looking for any imperfections in the in the mold, if there's any dips anywhere, if there's anything weird going on. But I'm really happy to say that this body, like we talked about in the review there, it's a really nice mold. It looks really clean and just about perfect. So I've done all my sanding on this. I've laid down 2 coats of primer using our Duplicolor filler primer here. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to sand our primer. Now this is a very important step that a lot of modeling guys overlook. What you want to do is, even though your primer looks, it might look really smooth on the body and everything, you want to sand this down as well, because that's going to give you a much smoother finish. You're going to, hopefully eliminate some of that what we call orange peel or orange skin looking finish, that kind of rough texture that you get on there. So we want to make sure that our primer is really smooth on this before we apply our first coat of paint, which we're going to be moving on to that here in just a little bit after we finish this. So what I've got is I've got some more 600 grit sandpaper here. This is what we call wet dry sandpaper. This is 3M brand, but any brand will work out there as long as it's a wet dry. But I'm going to use a little bit of water here, and we're actually going to wet sand this. The reason I like to wet sand is that it cuts through the the material a lot faster. It keeps your sandpaper from getting clogged up, and you can work a lot faster, and you don't get all the dust all over and everything like that. The water kind of helps keep that under control. So we're just going to go over this and do a light wet sanding on it. You can see I've got my hood primed and ready to go here as well. So just talking about this a little bit more, before I actually primed it, after I finished all my sanding, I took a little bit of alcohol, just standard, rubbing alcohol, and I wiped the entire body down to make sure that it didn't have any oil or molding release agents on it. Got that all cleaned up, and then I washed the entire thing in some warm water with some Dawn dishwashing detergent. Those are critical steps that you want to take to make sure that your surface that you're going to be working with here, where you're painting and everything, is perfectly clean. Taking shortcuts in those areas can lead to problems later on, your paint not sticking. Now in this case, we're going to be painting this entire car one color, so we're just going to spray it all down with black, and we're going to have to do a little bit of masking on it later on when we paint some of the trim and everything on this. But if you're going to do any kind of painting where you're going to be doing a lot of masking on top of your paint and stuff like that, it's really critical that you make sure you prepare the surface, because you can have issues where if the paint doesn't bond very well, or if the primer doesn't bond very well, you can have issues where you can lift up the paint and give yourself a real headache. So always make sure you practice those simple steps of doing your preparation. Don't take any shortcuts. That way you won't have headaches later on. So we've got this all primed and ready to go, like I said. So what we're going to do now is just real simple. I'm going to take a small piece of this 600 grit sandpaper, and we're going to just squirt a little bit of water on the model here. I'm going to start off on the trunk and up on the roof and stuff like that, tops of the fenders. And we're just going to lightly sand this. I'm going to pull it off of my stand here, and I'm just going to lightly sand this, going in circular motions. You don't want to really go back and forth straight lines, because that can make pretty nasty scratches in that. But this is a fairly light grit paper. It's 600, and it's not going to dig into it a lot. It's just going to take off that slightly rough surface that's on there. Now, like I said, when you look at primer, you spray it on there and it looks perfectly smooth, and it maybe feels smooth, but when I'm sanding it here, I can feel the roughness of it with my sandpaper. And as I'm going along here, I can feel it getting smoother and smoother as I go, because I'm getting less and less resistance when I'm trying to sand it here. And so you can see that you've got some texture on there that you want to get rid of. You know, you want to be able to run your finger over this and just have it feel like glass almost, you know, and that's going to make a big difference on how your paint job looks when you go to spray this. So I'm just going to gradually work my way down here now, going down to the sides of the roof, the back sail panels here, just kind of keeping that little circular motion going on. Going to go here to this one on this side. And you're going to go through your primer in a few spots, but that's no big deal. If you've prepared the plastic and everything, you know, like we talked about, you won't have any problem. You can paint right over that. I don't like to lay the primer on really thick because that kind of covers up some of the details on the model. You know, you start to fill in your seams and everything too much where your doors and all your little details are. You start to lose some of that detail, so you don't want to do that. You want to keep your primer coats as light as possible. Just a nice even coat on it. So I'm working my way back onto the trunk lid now here. And I can just feel it getting smoother and smoother as I go along. It's making a big difference. And like I said, that's an important step that a lot of people don't do. They don't sand the primer, and that's it's going to make a big difference in your paint job. Now, what I'll also do is we'll take a look at how this looks when we paint it. I'm going to be painting this tonight with some of my Speedsecker automotive paint. What I've done is I prepared that, and it usually lays down pretty smooth where I don't have to do any wet sanding on that. But you know, you can also wet sand your paint after it's good and dry with some really fine paper, like some 1000 or 1500 grit, and wet sand that if you want to, and that'll help ensure that you get a really nice smooth finish when you go to lay down your clear coat, if you're going to clear coat, which in this case we want this this particular model, it's all about the paint job. We want a beautiful high gloss, really nice black finish on this, and black is one of the hardest colors to make it. It shows any imperfection, so you want to take these extra steps here to try to make it come out as nice as we can. Now, I'm not going to be able to get down in here and the motor compartment and all that, but it's not as important in there as it is on the main surface of the body, especially the roof, the trunk, and the top of the hood. That's where you're going to really see it if you don't have any if you have issues with your paint. So I'm just working my way through here. Get a little bit more water going on, but just feeling it with my finger here, I mean, you can tell the difference right away. It's really feeling good. It's just like glass. Okay, we're going to work our way down on the top of the doors here, tops of the fenders. It's important, too, to make sure your primer is really dry before you try this, too. So I painted this yesterday morning, and so it's had a good 24 hours to dry, so it's good and dry. If your primer's not completely dry, it'll come off in chunks. It won't sand really nice. So make sure you let everything dry really good before you start doing any of this stuff. It can take longer if you've got, depending on how much humidity you have in the area that you're working in. So now I'm just going along the side of the body here. I want to make sure I go all the way to the bottom. But it's feeling great. We had a pretty nice primer job on this. It was pretty smooth, and it didn't have any debris in it or anything. It didn't have any chunks of anything in there, so it's coming out really nice. We'll soon find out when we put our black base coat on there. That will show any of the flaws that we have in it, but hopefully it'll come out nice. Okay, we're just about there. Just going to go over the back panel here a little bit. I'll point out that I already glued this in. This panel is a separate part on the model, but now the way this model is designed, you have a front pan here too, kind of a pan that goes underneath of the front valance. So in order to drop the body down onto the chassis, you either have to leave that part off or you have to leave this part off because it won't go around it. You'll have to crunch up the frame to try to get it in there. So I decided to leave the front one off, and because it's just got two easy spots to glue it on there at the very end. So when we drop the body down, after everything else is done, we'll just have to glue on that little piece at the end. But back here, you had areas where you could maybe get some glue globs or something like that. So I went ahead and glued this in and got it all ready to go beforehand. So now when we paint this, it's all going to be blended in and everything, and we won't have to worry about it. So just another little thing to think about there. I try to assemble as much as I can, you know, and try to paint all this stuff at once. But we'll just have that little separate piece, and I've already gone ahead and painted that. And then, of course, the hood. So we'll just give this a little nice little scuffing here in the back. And just gonna flush it real quick with my water and get the sanded off primer off of this. You can see if I hold it up here, it went, you know, got a little bit thin right there, a little bit on the side of the panel right here. We went through, we got down to the bare plastic. That's nothing to worry about, guys. That just shows you that you did a good job sanding it. That's how you'll see like real cars in the shop when they're, you know, when they're working on them and everything. It just kind of tells you that you're, you know, you're cutting through your primer and you're sanding it good. So, okay, so we're getting pretty close here. A little bit more on this side. Side of the roof. Okay. Now we'll just kind of give it a quick flush here. Get the stuff off of there. I'm going to let this sit a second. Now I'm going to work on my hood a little bit. Really happy with this hood too. I mean, I'll hold this up here for you. You can see how nice it fits on this model too. It doesn't. Sometimes they want to stick up in the corners and stuff like that, and you have to do a little bit of heating and stuff like that to get it to lay down, but it's looking really good on this one. Nice fit. Really pleased with this this kit overall. Revell typically, I feel like the Revell car kits are a little bit better than the AMT kits. You know, they all have their good ones and their bad ones, but most of the time, you know, I built a few of these Revell Charger kits now, the 68 and the 69, and I really like the quality on them and the detail that they put into them that you could see that we showed you in the review there. So I did a couple of checking around too on the looking at pictures, and went back and looked at a couple clips from the movie, and it looks like the wheels that this car comes with are actually correct. I thought that I thought the car had Krager SS wheels in the first movie, but they're actually the wheels that the kit comes with, so we're good to go on the wheels. But the interior is not going to be totally accurate, you know, but we're going to get the outside of it looking pretty cool. Like I said, it's all about the paint job on this. Okay, the hood's looking good. I'm going to rinse that off. I'm going to point out here a little preliminary work that I did too, talking about the accuracy of the car. I showed you the grill in the review there, and what I did is I went ahead and opened up these headlight doors. As you know, the Chargers have hideaway headlights, and in the movie the headlights were always open. So what I did is I just took my Dremel tool and drilled a couple of holes to get started, and then I just took my square file, small little flat file that I have, and I just worked these until I got these opened up. And what I've done is I found some headlight buckets, you know, just the basic chrome round part of the headlights from another old kit that are the same scale as this, and I had 4 of them, and I got the lenses to go with them. So we're going to mount these in here. What I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to take some sheet styrene and make little plates that go on the back side of these that we can glue in place, and drill the holes in those so that the little headlight buckets will slip right in those, and we'll have our headlights mounted in here just like they should be, and then paint the rest of the grill black and all that, and that'll give us the correct look for the front of the car. So we're kind of working on that a little bit already. Okay, so we got our sanding done here now, and just feeling it with my fingers, it feels really good. It's ready for, I feel like it's ready for paint. So I'm going to take my compressed air here real quick. I'm going to flush this one more time. I'm going to take my compressed air and I'm going to blow this off, and that way what I'm doing there is I'm blowing out, make sure I blow out all around where like any of these seams are and everything, so that in case any of my primer that I sanded off, you know, you don't want it to be piled up in there because it'll show up when you paint it, you know, it's going to bury some of the details. So we want to blow out all of our seams and everything and get all the excess water out of this. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Sorry about the compressor noise, guys. Okay, so we got it blown off. Now, if you don't have compressed air, you can take a towel, like a paper towel, and wipe it all down and all that. But you want to make sure that it's really dry before you move on to the next step and start painting it. You don't want to have any paint or any water, hidden somewhere in here. And when you start, spraying it, that it jumps out and gets into your paint, it can cause you a real problem. So I'm just going to take a paper towel here and I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit. Make sure, and I'm going to take my heat gun here and just help it dry a little bit too. But you can see how carefully I was going over it there, making sure that there wasn't any water hiding in some of the nooks and crannies that could jump out at me when I'm trying to paint it here in a second. So just taking those little extra precautions. Now, feeling it and looking at it now, it's beautiful. It's really nice and smooth. It looks like it should. When a model's ready for paint. You can feel it with your fingers here. It almost wants to slip right out of my hands. And the primer is almost, maybe not showing too much in the camera here if I can tilt it a little bit. You see how the primer's become sort of almost a little bit glossy, like a semi-gloss on it? That's how it should look when it's ready for paint. Okay? So this is looking really good. And we'll get our hood dried off here. And then I'm going to take my heat gun, which I've got handy here. Let me get some extra slack in the cord. I'm just going to lightly go over it, just to dry up any little moisture that might be hanging on. Don't have to blast it like a flamethrower, just lightly going over it. And our hood here. Okay, and that's all it takes. So, you can see it's all dried off and ready to go. I'm going to get rid of my little puddle of water right here. Make sure we don't have any water hanging around to haunt us when we get ready to go here. So, I'm going to put the car back on the my little paint stand here. I've eventually got to get one of these nice little, there's these nice little Tamiya painting stands that they have out there for car bodies, but this method here has always worked well for me on these smaller kits. I just put a little bit of tape up there on the roof and stick it down, make sure the can itself or whatever I've got it on here is nice and clean so no dirt comes off of it. So I've already done that. So the body's pretty much ready to go. So we've got our hood. We're going to mount that on this other one here. A little bit of tape. Okay, and we've got everything ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break, guys. I'm going to get my paint ready. and get everything cleaned up, and we're going to start painting this next, the fun part. I love laying down paint, guys. So right back after the break. See you in just a second. Okay, everybody. Well, I've got my black paint loaded up into my airbrush here, and we've got everything ready to go. So we got one little tangled up in my arrows here. Let me get this cleared away. I'm gonna make sure we have plenty of slack in our air hose there. So we've got one more little thing to do before we start on the painting process here. And what I've got here is I've got this little thing called a tack rag. Now, a lot of you guys out there may know what it is, but those of you that don't, it's basically a little piece of cheesecloth. Like it's almost like a a cheesecloth, but it's got a little bit of kind of sticky stuff impregnated into it, so that when you wipe it over an area, it will grab all the dirt and dust and all that and lift it right off of there, and it'll cling to this. Now you can get a lot of miles out of one of these. You can see it might look kind of dirty and all that, but it's actually still perfectly fine. And what you want to do with this is you just want to lightly drag it over the surfaces. You don't want to get on there and scrub with it, because you'll scrub and you'll get the sticky stuff onto your object here, and you don't want to do that. You just want to lightly drag it over it. It neutralizes static too. So like if you have static electricity that's making dust or whatever cling to the model or whatever you're painting, it will neutralize that, and it'll kind of repel it away after you finish. So I'm just going to lightly drag it over the surfaces here, making sure to get the highlighted areas. Like I said, it's really important on model cars, like to make sure the roof, the top of the trunk, the tops of the fenders, and the hood are really clean, because that's where you're going to see the flaws in your paint, or if you get dirt in it and stuff like that. Is it it's a small little car. Most of the time people see it, they're going to be looking down on it, and so that's really, really important to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the sides. You can see I'm not scrubbing it. I'm just lightly dragging it over it, and that picks up any stuff that might have got on there. No matter how clean of a room you're in, when you're painting, there's always dust and stuff floating in the air, and you want to try to get it off of there. And you want to when you get done, you want to paint right away. After you don't do this and then wait an hour before you paint it. Paint right away, so you're starting off with a clean surface. Okay, we've got that part done. Now we're going to do the hood a little bit here. Just kind of going over it. Now, one last thing I'll do just before I get ready to paint, since I've cleaned that dust off of there, I'm just going to lightly blow some compressed air on it, just to make sure that there's nothing stuck on there. I'm just taking a little extra precaution. Same thing on the hood. All right, so we've gotten to the magic moment. Time to paint. Get my brush here ready to go. And I've got my black Speedsecker paint in here ready to go. So we're going to start off on the painting, guys. Now, what I like to do is I like to start on the bottom and work my way up. So I'm going to start on the rocker panels down here. I see a little piece of something just jumped out of the air and stuck right on the side of it here. Make sure all that's gone. Okay. So I like to start off on the bottom and then make sure I get inside all my wheel wells and everything like that before I start working my way up. I'm also going to point out that I forgot to mention at the beginning, a couple more parts I glued in here to start with is I glued in the firewall and I glued in the radiator core support here because those are, on a Mopar, these are supposed to be painted the same color as the body. The whole engine bay is usually the same color as whatever the exterior, the color of the car was. Now, whether it's a Ford or GM or whatever, sometimes they do it different, but on a Mopar, that's pretty much how they do it. So I'm going to start off on the bottom here first, on the driver's side, on the rocker panel. And that way too, if at the beginning of, like, say, I made sure my brush was all clean and ready to go, my airbrush, but just in case any little bit of junk came out of my brush at the very beginning, it's going to be on the very bottom here where you're not going to be able to see it. You know, you don't want to have it start flying out of there right away, and if you start off on the top, so just a kind of another little thing to think about there. So I'm just going along the bottom edge, making sure I get that covered real nice. And we're not trying to make a perfect paint job on our first coat here, guys. We're just laying down a base coat. Doesn't have to look perfect. Don't want to lay it on there too thick. Real light coat, like a mist coat. Okay, and I'm kind of working my way up now. I'll go around here to the front. You notice how I'm keeping my brush at a certain distance and I'm not off and on the trigger. You just, once you start painting, just hold or pedal to the metal, guys. That's the simplest way I can tell you. That way you don't get any splattering and you don't get any weird stuff going on. Okay, I'm going to go inside the engine bay now. And then down to the other side on the bottom. Get my wheel wells. And across the back panel. Sure I get on the inside here a little bit. Now after this dries, I'm gonna paint the inside too. I'm gonna paint the headliner and the inside of the roof pillars there, because the interior, the roof panel and all that's supposed to be black, but we'll get that. Now I'm doing inside the front wheel wells. Okay, so you can see what we basically have here now. We're just done on the bottom half of the car all the way around. So we know our wheel wells are covered up good and all that good stuff. Okay, now I'm going to check my supply of paint here before I go any further. And we got about three-quarters of a cup. That should do the entire thing here for our first coat. So now I'm going to start moving up onto the sides and up onto the top. Okay. Other side. And there we have our sides. And now up onto the top. I'm going to go to the top of the front fenders first. Across the trunk. Now up onto the roof. Just ran out of paint, guys. Let me grab some more paint. Another thing I want to mention too is that I took the extra step too is even though my paint that I have here is fairly new, I strained it with 2 strainers, the microfine strainers, to make sure my paint didn't have any chunks or anything in it, and that's a really important thing you want to do too, even if you think your paint is new. Now if you're spraying out of a can, that's not going to happen, but airbrush paint, you always want to strain it before you paint. So okay, let's get this finished up. We're going to hit this side of the roof now. Now I'm going to go, you saw me painting mostly this direction, so now this time I'm going to go across the whole thing the opposite direction, crisscross it like this. That'll eliminate any kind of streaks that we might see. Okay, so I'm going to go back and do that. It's real light. Okay, so I'll just kind of hold this up here for you. It's turning sort of a satin black now as it's drying, but it's really smooth, guys, and really nice. I don't see any dirt or anything in it at all. It looks like it's going to be really good. Okay, so I'm just going to take my heat gun now and just lightly dry it a little bit before any dust or anything has a chance to settle on it and stick to my paint. Being that this is a solvent-based paint, this will, dry really fast. But after I heat this up a little bit, in about 10 minutes or so, you'll be able to handle it and touch it. But we don't want to do that. We're just getting it ready for our next step, which will be our clear coat. Okay, so just a little boost from our heater. I'm going to move that off to the side now. We're going to finish up with the hood. I'm going to take my compressed air and just hit it one more time here to make sure nothing settled on it while we were working. And we'll get the hood painted. Alright, here we go. Make sure I get all around the edges and stuff. Alright, let's take a look here. Yep, we didn't get any garbage in it or anything. It looks really good, guys. Real good. Nice and smooth. Let's help it dry a little bit here. Okay. And you can see that. It's looking like a nice satin black. The car would actually look pretty cool just like that, but we want to have a nice high gloss on that. Okay, so it's been drying for just a second here, so now, as I said, this was just kind of my base coat. I'm going to go ahead and hit this whole thing one more time. So I'm going to go back and make sure my, my cup is full here. And then this will be our final base coat color, and we'll be ready for our clear coat after that. So ready to go here. I'm gonna just lightly blow this off with compressed air, make sure we didn't get anything stuck to it. Okay, and we're gonna go over it one more time. All right, same thing, starting off on the bottom. Move it up to the top now. Alright, and let's help it dry here again a little bit. And we'll go ahead and hit our hood once more. Just get a little bit of air on there, make sure nothing got on it. Okay guys, we're done with our base coat. So you can see there's our hood. Looks really nice, real smooth. And here's our body. Looks great guys, really happy with it. Didn't get any crud in it at all. It's really clean. So it's pretty much ready for our clear coat now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to get my my clear coat out here and get my airbrush cleaned out. And we're going to go ahead and apply our, what I like to call the beauty coat, which is the high gloss clear coat on this. So I'll be right back after the break, guys. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so I'm working on mixing up my clear here. So let me show you this real quick. I'm using a two-part professional clear coat, automotive clear coat. This is made by a company called Roberlo. I like to use a lot of different brands. This is one I'm working with right now, but Nason or DuPont or some of the other ones that are out there. But this is a two-part. It comes with the clear coat and the activator or the hardener, so you have to mix these two together. It's basically a 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio depending on how thin you want to make it. Now since I'm spraying this through a small airbrush, what I also like to do is I like to reduce it a little bit, so I can take a little bit of my reducer, my regular automotive reducer that I use with my paint, and I put a little bit of that in there to make that thinner, a little bit thinner, and I stir it up really good. And I've run it through a strainer as well, even though you know it's brand new in the can, it's been sitting for a while. It can get little chunks in it and stuff like that. So I've ran it through a strainer and I've got it in the cup here now. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit more reducer in there and just thin it out a little bit more. And so it's pretty much ready to go. I'm going to stir it up here real good. And get my airbrush back over here. Now this, they also make an additive that you can put in this. That's it's a kicker. It's exactly like the kicker that you think about for your CA glue, that you can make your CA glue dry really fast. They make a kicker for this, which you can add a couple drops of that in, and it'll make your clear coat dry really fast. So like in an hour or so, depending on the temperature after you paint it, it'll be completely dry. But I'm not in a hurry on this at all, so I'm not going to worry about doing that on this. But that product is available out there for your automotive clear coats. So we've got this ready to go. We're going to put it in our cup. About 3/4 of the way full. Test spray here. Looks like we're spraying pretty good, so I've got it thinned. If it doesn't want to spray very good for you with your airbrush, you want to thin it a little bit more, because this stuff tends to be kind of thick, okay? So we're going to get our stuff back over here ready to go. Gonna blow it off again here, just to make sure. You notice I keep doing this over and over. You can't do this enough, guys. Even in, you know, this is my garage out here, so it's not a really clean room. So the more that we keep these clean, the less paint cleanup we're going to have to do later. Now, depending on how it comes out here, we might get it to come out perfectly nice. We might get a couple little pieces of dust in it. If we do, we're going to let it dry, and then next week's show, we're going to show you how to get rid of that and how to fix it. We're going to buff it out. We're probably going to buff it out anyway, but just to show you the technique for fixing that if you do happen to get a little bit of debris in it or anything. So we're pretty much ready to go here. I'm gonna get a little bit more reducer and put it in my bottle here, because what I'm going to show you at the end is after we clear coat this whole thing, I like to mist the whole thing down with a little bit of reducer, and what that does is it sort of melts the clear coat and makes it settle down really good on the body, so it'll dry nice and smooth, you know, and it won't have as much of that texture, you know, that orange peel look. So I got to pour a little bit of reducer back in my bottle here. Give me just a second. Okay, so I've got my reducer ready to go for at the end here. We're going to get rid of this. Alright, we're pretty much ready to go here. So one more time. Again, getting kind of, you know, not too carried away, but I can see little pieces of dust in the shop here settling on this. You know, black shows everything, so I just want to get rid of it. Alright, so now we're ready to go with our beauty coat, our high gloss clear. So let's have some fun, guys. Make sure we're spraying good here. Looks like we're ready to go. So same thing all over again, guys. I'm going to start off on the bottom, keeping my distance. I said about, you know, 6 inches away or so. Not trying to pile it on there too thick at first, you know, we're taking it easy. That way we don't get any runs or anything. Making sure I get all the way down to the bottom on this. On the bottom of our rocker panels there. Across the back panel now. Gradually working my way up the sides. get inside the motor compartment now. It's looking real nice, guys, real nice. Okay, let's see if we get the front part here. Tops of those fenders looking good. Now we're going to go across the trunk. And up over the roof. Okay, it's looking nice, guys, really nice. Now, we're going to let that just sit there in what we call flash for just a second, and now I'm going to put some more paint in my cup here. A clear coat, and I'm going to put it on a little bit thicker now when I go back. Okay, it was actually just a pretty light coat there. Alright, just a couple seconds, and then we're going to hit it again now. We're going to go a little bit heavier. One little speck that we got in the we got one little speck kind of right in the middle of the trunk lid, but don't worry about that, we'll fix that later on. Little piece of dust stuck on it. Alright, you can see that little speck right there where I'm talking about. It's not a big deal though, we didn't get any runs or anything like that, and we've got plenty of clear coat on this now, so this clear coat dries really hard, like a nice hard shell, so we can do some buffing on this and really make it look good. You're going to want to buff pretty much no matter what you do. So, especially on a black paint job. So we'll have something to show you on this next week. Okay, gonna taper it off here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the hood. Make sure I got enough paint left. Good to go there. blow it off again real quick before we start. Just a little flash coat there, light coat to let it kind of settle itself in there a little bit. Just wait a couple seconds here. And then we'll hit it again. Okay. Alright, I got a nice even coat on that. Now, that little step I was talking about, I'm going to go ahead and dump this out. Get rid of this. I can reach. And then we're going to just go to straight reducer. And then we're going to just lightly mist over the whole thing here now, and that's going to help my clear coat settle down, okay? Just get a little wet coat on it. You want to do this fairly soon after you paint it. You don't want to wait too long, you know, because this clear coat starts drying right away. It's a chemical reaction between the activator and your clear, so it will start drying pretty fast. So okay, and that's basically it for that. Let's move this out of the way. Do the hood. And that's basically it, guys. Now, you can see we got a couple of tiny little pieces of dust in it. Nothing bad at all, though. I mean, it looks on the camera with the fluorescent lights and everything here, it looks a lot worse than it really is. It's very, very minimal. So I'm going to let this dry basically, you know, all week. And it would be dry by probably tomorrow. But we're gonna let this dry all week. And then next week what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to show you how to get this all cleaned up and polished out and beautiful looking. But it's a really nice paint job. Trust me, guys, when just with a little bit of buffing on a few little spots here and there, this thing's going to come out perfect. So I'm really, really happy with it. It's got a nice even coat all the way around it. It doesn't have any orange peel in it. It doesn't have any runs or anything like that. And we've got, you know, a nice thick clear coat on there so we can buff on it and not have to worry about going through or anything. So just a couple little dust spots to take care of. It's inevitable, guys, when you paint something like this, you're going to get that in there, and it's just a nice opportunity to show you guys how we fix that. So we'll take the positive with it. I'm going to just hit down in here just a little bit more. I see where our clear looked a little bit rough. If you have any overspray in little areas where your clear dry, or, you know, went on there and it looks kind of foggy or whatever, using this reducer will reactivate it and sort of, like I said, melt it and make it smooth right out. So there we have it, guys. It's looking really good. Like I said, these on these fluorescent lights and everything here, it's making it look worse than it is. It looks really good in person. It'll clean up really easy, and we'll have it looking like glass. Okay, guys, we're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to put the Charger off to the side now, and we're going to start working on the Kawasaki. We're going to start doing a little bit of assembly work on that. So one more break, guys, and we'll be right back after that. See you in just a couple seconds. Okay, everybody, well, moving right along now. I've been looking forward to getting started on this kit all week. This is the Kawasaki 900 by Aoshima. It's 1/12 scale. Never built a motorcycle kit before, so I'm really looking forward to this one. And after we showed you the out-of-the-box kit review on this one last week, it's a really awesome kit. I'm really excited about this. Wanted to say thanks again to Chuck Brooks for sending me this kit. And I'm going to try to build up a replica of a bike that I used to own. So let's crack this guy open and get things rolling, guys. We'll work on this for a few minutes here, and then we'll move on to our shout-outs and our Q&A for tonight's show. Having a quick look at the instructions here first. I think we were starting off with building up the starting off with the front tire and the rear tire and rim here. So let's get that stuff out of our parts sprue here and get to work, guys. Alright, we got our front and rear tire in this little bag here. Just taking a look at this real quick. Doesn't look like there's much flash or anything on there. Maybe a little bit. I think I'm going to scuff this with a little bit of sandpaper there right in the center before we go ahead and put it together. That always gives a kind of a more realistic look to it anyway. Just a little bit of rubber flash on the center seam there I saw. But these are nice. These are like real rubber. They're not vinyl. They're like real rubber. This is nice quality. That looks pretty good. Got rid of that. See a little bit right there still. Comes right off, though it's okay. Let's check the other one out. A little bit of the same thing there. Just some regular 180 grit sandpaper here. A little bit of scuffing on them, make them look like more like real tires that have been used a little bit. Okay, that cleaned up pretty good. Let's find our rims in here. Starting off building our front rims and tires, and then we're moving on to the front fork, it looks like, and the front fender and all that good stuff. Get these removed off these sprues. Making sure here 70 and 71. Okay, that's the rear. So let's just work with those by themselves at first here so we don't get them mixed up. Get rid of the extra plastic nub on there. Okay, so our basic cleanup here, and let's kind of do a little test fit. Pretty sure we want to, since we have these spokes here, we want to make sure that we stagger the spokes. I don't see any feels like there's a little bit of a rise on this thing here. I'm going to go ahead and sand the back side of these. That way we can get a good bond with our glue. Love the spoke detail on this. Really nice for a injection molded kit. Just getting rid of some of this chrome plating. You guys out there know whenever you're going to glue something together that has chrome plating on it, you want to make sure you get rid of that plating or you won't get a good glue bond at all. That glue will not penetrate that. You got to have bare plastic. Okay, one side down, one to go here. This 180 grit cuts through this real quick and easy. Okay, got those prepped and ready to go. Just going to take and put a little bead of glue around here now. Grab a new paper towel. Alright. Doesn't take a whole lot here, guys. Thin little bead. And like I said, we want to make sure our spokes are staggered there. Kind of like that. And let's see, we're going directly inside the tire. So there's a difference between the front and the rear tire too. You can see the front one's just a little bit thinner and just a tiny little bit less big around. So we know that the rear tire is this one. Now they do tell you the direction of the tread, so we've got to kind of pay attention to this part right here. I know on the side of this rim we have the I'm going to have to go forward here a little bit because we've got the drum brake assembly that goes on the side of that rim. And I've got to figure out which side it goes on. Okay, the sprocket goes on this side here. Okay, so we know that this is the left side of the bike. And then our tread pattern goes like this. Okay, so we can just work this in here. this excess. Got like some plastic dust that came off of that where we sanded it. Okay, so that's pretty much, that's it for our rear tire and rim assembly already. You can just see how realistic this is going to look. This is going to look great. Really nice. Impressed with the quality on this kit since the minute I opened the box and looked at it. Okay, let's get our front wheel off of the sprue. Go ahead and get this back side sanded down right away. Actually, I think I'm going to take my my Dremel tool and do this a little bit easier. Sanding drum. Just run it at low speed here. Just slightly go around this edge. Not digging into the plastic at all there, guys. All I'm doing is just knocking off that plating that's on the top. Okay. Rinse and repeat. For those of you new out there who might be wondering what I'm using here, this is called a Dremel stylus tool. They actually don't make this anymore, unfortunately, but you can get a version of this, a more, kind of the more straight version of the Dremel rechargeable tool, but they now have like a pistol grip handle that attaches onto it to make it kind of similar. But it's just a little variable speed motor driven tool here. You can use all kinds of different attachments onto it, drill bits, polishing tools, sanding tools like this. So it's one of my favorite tools in my modeling arsenal. Okay, so we've got this ready to go. Another little bead of glue. Oop. Slippery little guy. All right. And stagger our spokes again. Looks good, real good. Really like that. Okay, and then the same thing. We got to figure out which side is which for our front wheel here. See if I can see it. Okay, we've got because we've got our little disc brake, our disc. It's got to go on the side of that. Pretty sure that it goes on this side. Doesn't really show you there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it goes on this side, so we know that this is the, again, this is the left side. Getting our tread direction going this way. And let's get it worked in there. Boy, it fits like a glove. Really nice. Doesn't surprise me though with these quality of those Aoshima kits. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Look at that. Really nice. Looks real already. Okay, so we've got our front and rear wheel and tire assemblies done. Now they're calling for some work on the front forks. And so we've got our two front fork parts. And the front fender. And there's a brace piece that goes on the top. The brake caliper. And the disc rotor. So let me grab that out of here. Pretty sure that's going to be on our chrome sprue here. Yep, here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to just take my hobby knife and I'm just going to scrape a little bit of this off, this chrome plating off here on the back side of this. Get a nice glue joint. Okay, let's clean up these edges. Now, what I want to do here too is we're getting into some of the areas that need to be painted. So we're going to have to work on this part a little bit. Now, you can see when I showed you the review on this, I'm not sure how good it's going to show up on this camera here, but they've actually got some really cool detail cast into this where it's got like the grooves that you can see on the rotor itself, like really realistic looking. It shouldn't be like smooth as glass, but it shouldn't look you know, brightly chrome plated like this is either. It should look a little bit dull. So I'm just going to hit this really quick with some of my Tester's dull coat, and that's going to bring down that look and give it more of a dull finish like it should be. Just a little misting of this, and I'll just dry it real quick with my heat gun. Get both sides of it here. That looks a lot more like it. I did the trick right away. One more coat. Okay, now on this center part of the hub, right in here, this is supposed to be black. Okay, so I'm going to take my, I've got some of my paint left over from my car, and I'm going to get me a brush here and I'm going to just paint that real quick. Won't be able to do it once it's already on the fork, so get my magnifying specs here so I make sure I paint this nice and clean. that's what that looks like, guys. A little extra detail in there. I just remember that on my bike, that part being black. Get inside the edges of the spokes here. Okay, so we've got that. Now we've got to do a little bit of painting here on the forks too, because we've got the little the rubber seals on the shock absorber part of the front fork that we got to paint. So let's go ahead and get that off of the sprue. See how this is supposed to look. Okay, got that little tip that's supposed to stay on there. Just clean these up just a little bit. This off with a knife. Okay, now we've got these little boots that are on here. If you can kind of see that, they have to be painted black. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. Just go over this. Might take 1 or 2 times here because sometimes it's a little hard to cover up chrome. One down, one to go, guys. Here's our little boot. Black paint's still kind of glossy there, but that's gonna dry and turn into a kind of a satin black finish like rubber. So that'll be good. Okay, got that one done too. Happy with that. All right, let's get our paint out of the way so we don't spill it. And take a look. We've got our forks. Just kind of wondering if that caliper can go on before or after. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get that. Oops, dropped my paintbrush. We're going to go ahead and get the wheel mounted first. I think we can get the caliper in there. So let's find our little screws here. The screws that hold this together. Got a bag of parts here. Straight screw. And go this way on our. Sure, that's how it goes. I'm gonna double check this again, guys. Like that, okay. And our forks. Just like that. All right, so got this metal screw that goes in there. That, okay. Just kind of doing a dry run here, guys. All right, find myself a small enough screwdriver. Let's run the screw in here. Working with some tiny stuff. Just back it off just a little bit. Okay. Looks like everything's lining up pretty good here, guys. Give you a look at that. Okay. So we've got our front fender and the caliper. And there's a little mount that goes in between the two of them, like a brace on the upper part. And then the top brace. So I think we're going to put the top brace on first here. Find that part. It's part number 64. Not sure if that's a chrome part or not. Let's see if I can find it. Nope, must be black. Okay. All right, 64 is right here. This one goes at the very top of the tubes. That'll give us some stability to have this. I don't want to put the fender on it just yet. I think I can slide the fender in between the two forks. All right, let's see. Clean this up with a little bit of my finer paper here, those edges. All right. That goes right on the very top. Rid of that little nub on there. And we need to sand the chrome off of this a little bit. Okay, let's take a look and see which direction this goes. Okay, with that part facing towards the rear. Okay, just like that. All right. Get my glue flowing again here. Drop. top brace on there. There's another one in the middle that goes on from the front, so we can squeeze that in. I think we're going to go for the fender now here, guys. Let's grab that. I think once we get the fender on there, we're going to call that a wrap on this one for tonight. Getting kind of long in here in the show, it looks like. Go through the time quick when you're working on the bench a lot. This is pretty thick. I'm going to cut this off with my cutters here, I think. Cleaned up. Okay. I don't know if there's any difference between the front and the back there. Alright, let's see how this mounts on there. Just gotta scrape some chrome off here. Just checking it out, guys, to see how it fits. Can't really tell if there's a... It kind of looks symmetrical, but I want to make sure I don't get it on there backwards. Let's try it the other way. Yeah, I think it's symmetrical, but for some reason it just looks a little bit better this way, so we're going to go with it like this, guys. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. toothpick and get some glue in there. You guys that build these bikes all the time are probably used to the certain order that you're building this stuff in. And I might be doing it wrong here, but I think it's working out all right. Okay. One side good. There we go. Okay guys, there's our front fender, our wheel, our disc. Got to put the caliper on there. There's a brace that goes across the front here, and then of course the headlight goes in the center of all that. But I think I'm gonna stop right here for tonight, guys. Now we're starting to run kind of long here, so we'll hold off on a little bit more of this until next week, and then I'm gonna have to do a little bit of paint touch up on it here and there. But I'm really happy with it. It looks just like how I remember the bike should look. Fender's fitting good. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that work on the bench tonight and the painting of the Charger. As I said, we'll come back next week and we'll do our buff job on the Charger, get that paint looking really nice on that. And then we'll start working on the chassis and everything. We'll come back, let's see, on the bike here, we're moving on to the rear wheel, the chain, the sprocket, and all that stuff, the swing arms, and then we get into the engine. So you won't miss anything, guys. I'm gonna have a hard time not working on it this week, but we'll I've got plenty of other client work here to do in the shop, so I'll hold off on this until next show and get you caught back up then. So all right, quick break, guys, and we come back and we'll do our shout outs and our Q&A for tonight. See you in just a couple seconds. Okay, everybody, back with you again. Well, I'm really enjoying working on the motorcycle kit so far and the charger. Everything's going right along according to plan here, so learning a lot as I go along on the bike too. I'm really having a good time with that. I'm just wish I didn't have to stop for tonight. It's a lot of fun. Okay, guys, we're gonna go ahead and move on over to our Q&A and our shout-outs. See who's with us tonight. Gonna roll up to the top here. Let's see. Looks like we've got about 80 people watching now. Appreciate you guys being with us here tonight. Know we ran a little bit long. Okay, we've got Mike Kovac here tonight. Nice to see you, Mike. Great work on your Morticia kit. Showed a little bit of what Mike was working on there at the beginning of the show. We got Eric Gorski. We got Armando with DLC Model Builders. James Schulenberg. Rick O'Connor. Steve Baker. Mark Buchholz. Triskelion. Nice to see you tonight, Adam. Dadnator24. Nice to see you, Rick. Eric Gorski, Dan Harris, Ken Zimmerman, Benny Gilardi, Gary M, Outsider238, James Kirk, Omar, Rick O'Connor, John Petrie. Nice to see you, John. I'm sorry we're keeping you up so late tonight. Gadgetron 3000. Chainsaw Happy Gerbil, nice to see you tonight. Clint Llewellyn, Omar, Aussie Trekkie, nice to see you, Scott. B. Tilly, Rocket Boy 1969. George Vilkowski, Eric Hawkins, a Kit Bash Kid. George Bramble. Modelry. Federation Shipyard, nice to see you, Dennis. James Frost, E-Biker 56. James, nice job on your 3D printed Ducati motorcycle. We showed that at the beginning of the show as well. Beautiful job on that. I think a lot of people are going to be starting to use that 3D printing. It's they're all becoming a lot more affordable. Roger Ball's here with us tonight. Brian Knowles. Gearhead Workshop. Nice to see you, Chuck. Okay, I made it down to the bottom. Anybody that's here that's sitting out there, make sure you type something into the chat so we can pick you up there. Kenneth Zimmerman. Ashley 389100, nice to see you. Leona Timber Company. Thought I saw Ralph with Tenant Controls was in here earlier. It's probably getting pretty late on. He's up there on the East Coast. Alpha Trion 92, the Captain. Yeah, Chuck, I'm really enjoying the kit so far. It's going together great. Okay, guys, I've gone through the whole list. Galaxy Stranger 01. Nice to have you on board tonight. Got DeWitt Shaneline. SF Modeler, nice to see you, DeWitt. Thanks, as always, for keeping track of those notes every week. If you guys have any questions you want to ask of myself or anybody else here in the chat session, fire them away. Got Arctic Wolf. Kenneth Zimmerman said he liked the show. I'm glad you liked it, Ken. Sometimes it's a little quiet and a little long on the bench, but we like to show the work on the models here. Barry Steinledge. Nice to have you, Barry. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to get a little late for some folks. So we'll try to wrap up this part of it here pretty quick, guys. Looks like you guys had a nice conversation tonight. That's always good to hear. Nice crowd of folks in there. Yep, that's right, guys. Next week we're going to do our 100th episode, so I still haven't really thought of anything special to do. It might just be a regular show. We'll have a lot of work to get done on the next show, but we'll see what I can come up with this week. Perrin Greenway, nice to see you, Perrin. Galaxy Stranger says not using the Nason clear coat anymore. Well, I kind of switch back and forth. They're you know, the automotive clears are all pretty good quality, Galaxy, and I kind of go by what kind of a deal I can get. Usually, I went to my paint supplier a couple months ago. The last several of these car builds I've been doing on my YouTube channel, that 67 chart, or the 66, was it a 66? I can't remember, the gray one, that 67, and a couple of the other cars that I did, I used this new clear coat from Roberlo, and I'm really happy with it. I can get it in a smaller quantity too. I can get it in a pint, and so I've been using it, and I'm really pleased with it. They're all pretty much good, though. You know, any of the automotive brand, they're pretty good quality, and if you can get a little bit better price on one versus the other, it's probably worth it. But the Nason is really good stuff. This stuff, like I said, it'll be dry probably by tomorrow morning, and but I'll wait until next week, and then we'll show you on the show next week doing the buffing on that. You know, no matter what you do, you're always good. If you want a perfect paint job, you're going to wind up buffing on it. Even when they when they paint cars at professional body shops, they get dust in the paint and stuff like that. We got a little bit of dust in it, but like I said, it looked, with the bright fluorescent lights and everything in here, it looked a lot worse than it really was. It's just really microscopic, and it's going to be easy to polish it out. It's going to look great. We'll get that looking like glass by the time we're done. Yeah, maybe I'll break out the old TV tray, Dennis. Yeah, the TV stand. That's where it all started. I've still got it. Charles Forbin's here. Glad you like the show, Charles. Roger Ball says, what's the cost per pint? It's probably around $30 for a pint of it, Roger. Maybe somewhere in that neighborhood. Then you got to buy the hardener with it, which is probably another $15, $18 for the hardener. But that little pint there, I mean, I barely used, like this much in the bottom of a Dixie cup. So, and I had some left over. So, that little bit, if you're just painting models, that'll last you a long time. You'll find out that it's more economical than buying it in the spray cans if you're using spray cans. And it gives you way better results. Gary, I was spraying at about 25 psi. Good night, Benny. Thanks for being with us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show and the chat session. We'll see you next time. Oh, he says he's not leaving yet. Okay. Yeah, we've got some great works in progress going on that we kind of highlighted there. Sorry if I missed anybody. I just kind of went around and grabbed a few things that I saw. I'll try to do some more next week. And I just wanted to say a big thanks and a shout out to everybody that's participating in our Halloween group build as well. That's going really well. We got a great turnout this year, and we should be able to put together a really nice slideshow. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention at the top of the show. There's some for some reason in here, guys. Over the last week, I got some emails that came in over my regular info@trekworks.net address that we normally use for you guys sending me pictures and all that. And a lot of times those pictures are coming in as attachments. Well, unfortunately, some nasty individual out there has been trying to send me some viruses through my info@trekworks email address. So I'm going to have to change my policy on that. We're going to have to, when you guys want to upload pictures for submitting them to the show, just go ahead and upload them on the Model Shop Google community page, and I'll pick them up off of there. And then I can bring them over and put them into the slideshow. And that way it'll have your name on it too, so I'll know who it came from. And then when you when you post your pictures on there, put your description on there, what the kit is that you're working on. I should be able to tell most of the time, but unfortunately there's somebody out there that just started doing it like about a week and a half ago or so, and my virus detection thing, caught it and all that, but I don't want to open attachments anymore on my email because, the viruses, when I ran a scan on that, they were really nasty viruses that somebody's trying to send, and it's kind of strange that it's only coming through on the not many people have the info@TrekWorks address, so I'm having a feeling it might be somebody out there in the community or something who doesn't like what we're doing here, or as a result of something that happened a week or two ago here. So it's really sad and unfortunate, but when we get, we can work around it. Like I said, just put your pictures on the Google page. If you're not a member of the Model Shop Google community, you'll just have to join, I guess. I'm not sure if you can post pictures there or not if you're a member or not, but if you're not, just join on the community, and just you can start putting your pictures there, and I'll go through and grab them off of there and put them into the into our slideshow from there. It'll actually be a little bit easier for me because it'll have your name on your post and everything, and I'll know who it is. Yeah, Mike, the viruses that they're trying to send through, trust me, when they're nasty viruses. They're not just your run-of-the-mill viruses. Somebody out there is really... I've turned them all over to my my web domain manager, so they're going to try to run a trace and find out. Probably won't. These people are probably putting using a fake IP address and all that, but at least I reported it, so... Because as far as I know, that stuff's against the law. You can get in some pretty big trouble for doing that. So if whoever you are, if you're watching this show, I hope you get caught. You're a real jerk for doing that kind of stuff. Over modeling. I mean, get a life, guy. James Kirk says, "What size needle do you need in an airbrush?" I can't really say for sure, James, but you're gonna need a bigger needle. Primer tends to be, pretty thick. Got Michael Garcia. Sure, Mike, you can join our community. Just go to the Google, do a Google search in the Google communities for the Model Shop, and you'll see our little community there. Right now we got about 550 people in there. Just join up. You don't have to, it doesn't cost you anything or anything like that. You'll be in there and you can post pictures, you can comment and all that good stuff. We'd love to have you on board. Yeah, Eric, I don't think it's coming from Russia, man. I don't think it's coming from Russia. Like I said, there's only a few people out there that even know about that address. I don't get any spam or anything on that email address. It's completely on a separate server. It's on my domain server that runs the Sci-Fi Model Action Forum. And somebody out there, there's only a few people besides, we announce it on our, to tell you guys to send your pictures into that address. But it's somebody that's watching the show or knows about it. But like I said, I've got it nipped in the bud. It's not going to work, so whoever's doing it might as well give up trying. But hopefully, the people that the professionals out there that I turn this over to can track it down, or maybe figure out a way to block it. Yeah, it could very possibly be that Omar, I can't say for sure, but yeah, it's kind of a coincidence. Okay, guys. Well, I'm not seeing too many more questions coming through. If you have any more questions about tonight, guys, fire them up now because we're going to wrap this thing up. It looks like a lot of people are starting to nod off. I don't blame them. It's getting pretty late for some people. Yeah, James Kirk on that primer. If you're taking it out of a can, it's probably going to be pretty thin, um, because they've got the propellant and everything mixed in there. But if you're, using regular automotive primer that you take out of a can and you mix it up yourself, it's going to be pretty thick. You're going to have to thin it way down. Um, so yeah, a lot of the Pache or Posh, whatever you want to call them, those type of airbrushes, those old school ones. A lot of those have bigger needles in them, so one of those might be pretty good for spraying primer. I've never tried to spray primer through my airbrush, so I'm not sure. Omar is asking about a small circular saw for cutting out next generation windows. Not that I'm aware of, Omar. Nothing that small. You know, I usually just drill a basic hole, and then unfortunately it takes forever. But I just gotta work. You gotta work them all with those little miniature files. Yeah, I'm glad you guys like the work on the bench. We're going to be doing more of that. We try to bring you the kit reviews and some modeling news and some stuff like that. But it's all about trying to show building for people out there who are new and everything like that. Trying to get into it and showing you what we do and everything, and then sharing the progress. Instead of starting on a kit and then coming back a week later and showing it done. It's going to be hard for me to lay off that motorcycle though. I'm having a blast working on it. Yeah, it's unfortunately, Omar. That's a lot of it. I wish they made some little, or even like a punch that you could use to punch out those windows. Mike Garcia, it's you just go on Google, and then you do a search in the Google communities and just type in the model shop, just like the title of our show, the model shop, and you'll find the model shop Google community. You should have the option of being able to join there when you see at the top of the page. Yeah, Micromarks is a nice company out there that sells a lot of those, like, all kinds of miniature modeling tools and stuff, and their prices are pretty reasonable. Yeah, Al Nagel, nice to see you with us. Al Charles Potts. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's a lot of drilling and a lot of filing. There's just no other way to get around it. What are there on the Enterprise D? A couple thousand holes, or even on the E, a couple thousand windows. I believe that they're going to be re-releasing or if it's not out already, or very soon, they're going to re-release the Clear Kit again, the Enterprise D. Which, if I was to build another one, that's the way I'd prefer to go. I think it's a lot easier to do the painting than just scrape the windows on it. Apparently they're going to improve the quality of the plastic, is what I heard, make it out of ABS plastic this time. The other kits were kind of brittle, and they had a lot of problems with them warping from the molds. Yeah, and you also have, for some of the kits that are out there, like Benny Gilardi just pointed out, Paragraphics does make some window drilling template kits, like a brass photo etch part that you lay over the model, and the holes are already in there, and you just make sure it's on there straight, and you can drill it out. That helps a lot too. Hopefully they're going to come out with what Paragraphics will come out with a window drilling template kit for the new Excelsior model kit that just came out, because those windows on that are going to have to be really tiny, and there's a lot of them on that one too, and they have a certain grouping and a certain pattern to them. But I think Paul over at Paragraphics puts out stuff depending on how popular the kit's going to be, and I think that's going to be a really popular kit. So I think there's a good chance you'll see a nice photo etch set come out for that kit. Yeah, if the windows are going to be really small on the model, I'd recommend doing them all with a pin vise. If you do them with a Dremel tool, because you're causing friction and heat. Even if you use a really small drill bit, the hole will open up and get bigger than you really want it to pretty quick. So if they're going to be really small, it depends on what the scale is. If they're going to be really, really small, I'd do them all with a pin vise, because you can control it, and you can keep it basically the same size as the drill bit you're using. If they're a little bit bigger and you want to start off with a Dremel, and then you're going to open them up a little bit more by filing or whatever, that will work. But if they have to be really tiny, then you really don't want to use a Dremel. Yeah, that's right, Eric. The new, like we pointed out last week on the show, the new 350 scale Classic Enterprise kit will have a template that's included with it, so you can pencil on the grid lines on the saucer if you want to put those on there, now that the new saucer is going to be smooth. Yeah. To me, it does make a drill that you can buy, that you have to actually build it when you get it. You have to assemble it, and it turns pretty slow. Now, my Dremel stylus will turn really slow. The regular Dremel will not slow down that much, but even its slowest speed here on the Dremel, I wouldn't use it for just because they're so tiny that you really have to control it. I'd much rather prefer to use a pin vise for that. It's more time consuming, but less chance of it, something going wrong. Not to worry too if you ever drill out any holes and you don't like the way they came out, or something goes wrong. You can always putty them back shut and then do them over. Yes, they do make an automotive dull finish. There's several of them out there. I've got one here from Duplicolor that I use. DuPont makes one. A lot of these guys nowadays in the car business, the custom car guys, are painting everything with dull. They want these rat rod cars, so they want them dull. So they do make a dull coat in clear. Or a medium too, like a satin. Yeah, there's James Kirk is saying there's some, what about photo etch that you just completely replace it? Yeah, there's some sets out there like that, James, where you cut out that section, you put the photo etch piece in, and then you just putty around it and get it all blended in and smoothed out, and you got your windows already done. Then just paint over it. Nope, Galaxy, we're cool on the website. I haven't got it done yet, but a friend of mine's helping me with it. Thanks for your help on that. Your offer to help on that. Yeah, like Eric says, car paint guys increase your business. Sell to model guys. A lot of the guys in the car modeling side of the hobby, the guys that are really into it, that build for shows and all that kind of stuff. They've been using this for a while. You get the main thing about it is that you can get a nice gloss with your regular out of the can and all that, but if you want a really fantastic like mirror gloss, you need to use like this automotive stuff. And the reason why is that it dries so hard that you can polish on it, and you won't burn through it, as they say. You won't get a you won't rub on it so much that you go through it, which your testers and your out of the can stuff, it's not going to hold up to much buffing. You're gonna burn through it pretty quick. If you got if you got a little bit of dust in your paint and stuff, and you got to do a little bit of use a little bit of compound and stuff like that, you're gonna go through that stuff really easy. Where this stuff, the professional automotive grade stuff, is meant to be buffed on. Um, and like I said, a lot of the big name car builder guys out there have been using it now for a couple of years, and they're all, if they're not, they're all going to it because it gives us a really superior shine, and it's really durable, and it's, like I said, it's made to be buffed out. Those guys always buff their cars out. You can go on YouTube and see all kinds of videos of these guys showing you how to buff them out and everything. Brian, the Enterprise D Clear Kit is not an easy build at all. Not if you're, especially if you're going to light it. Um, it's you got issues with where you run the wires. You got to cut out some trenches on the pylons because the pylons are not hollow. They're just flat, and so you got to cut some trenches in there and run your wires, and either buy the aftermarket photo etch covers to go over that, or fill them in yourself with putty and fill them in. You know, uh, the kit's a little bit tricky to assemble. Um, yeah, it's not one of the easiest Star Trek models to build, that's for sure. And then if you do the Aztec decals, you've got literally hundreds of decals that have to go on it too. Basically, the entire model is wrapped in a decal when you're done if you use the Aztec set from round two. Uh, Looking at pictures of the set that's going to be released for the Enterprise D, they've changed it from what it looked like from before. They look more now like it looked on the television show. The Aztecing is not as strong, and it's more of a bluish gray color, like it was on the TV show. For Generations, they made it look a lot more bold, because they completely repainted the studio model when they made Generations to make it look more, because they knew it was going to show up a lot better on the big screen. So the paint job was changed, but the earlier version, the Aztecs were not as pronounced, and the colors were a little bit different. They're almost sort of a teal color. There's some teal colored highlights and some blues going on in there, but that's what it looks like they were going for on the new decal set for it. They kind of went back to the way it looked on the television show, which is cool because if you already built the Generations one, you can build that, and you'll have both looks going on with that ship if you wanted to build a second one. Okay, everybody, it looks like everybody's winding down here for tonight. Got most of the questions answered, I think. We're going to go ahead and call this one a wrap. So I hope you guys have a great week out there. Get some models built. Hope you get to spend some time on your bench. I hope you're getting to enjoy some nice fall weather finally. It's starting to cool off for you guys. I know even on the East Coast, they were really getting blasted up there. It was really like hotter than normal up there. We had a long, hot summer here, that's for sure. I'm glad this weather got down to us here. Um, Rocket Boy, I don't remember the name of the website offhand. I'll see if I can figure it out and post it on the Model Shop Google page for you. Asking about that atomizer. Okay, and we got the captain that checked in. Sorry if I missed anybody tonight. Some of the guys may have already left already because it was a long show. But okay, guys, that's going to be a wrap for tonight. Wow, we did a 3-hour show tonight. Holy cow. That'll give some people some time to watch on the replay this week. So thanks again for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week for episode 100. Well, maybe we'll have some kind of cake or something. But we'll try to put together something cool for next week, and we'll be back to work on the bike and on the Charger. Have some more modeling news for you and all the good stuff. So you guys take care out there. Be safe. Happy modeling, everyone, and good night.